What's that?
I agree with everything.
So Vera, I'm gonna start with you. You know, we talked about service and parts butting heads, and but what about, you know, sales versus service? You know, butting heads, and you know, you talk about how fixed operations is a support system for sales. So what are the things that you do at DeLuca Toyota to really embrace that teamwork and accountability?
Well, you know, a service writer in a different situation than what I'm going to tell you that we have doesn't want them to go buy another vehicle because they're not going to make the hours on that ticket. What we have is a VIP program that is actually something that JMA and Toyota put together for us, so we can recognize when these customers are coming in that have a trade that we might be interested in. When the customer comes in the door, the service writer greets them, gets their primary items, creates a repair order, but lets them know they're a VIP, and takes them to this area. Now, if they trade that vehicle in, a couple things. Sales department, if we've already got it in the shop and we're doing repairs on it, the sales department's going to pay list, because there's no such thing as internal. Internal is list. They're going to pay the repair bill for that vehicle, and the service writer gets $125 for every service customer that they sell through the VIP.
Fantastic.
Plus the ticket. So that's a win-win.
Absolutely. You know, Lee, you referenced, you know, the fact that dealerships have really created the independent repair network. And everybody here is probably familiar with the service waterfall chart. So what are some steps, and we've talked about this at every conference and every forum, what are steps that dealers can really take to really prevent that fall off?
First of all, focus on selling the relationship and not the business. I personally believe that everybody has the ability to sell themselves to people, okay? We've never been taught to do that. We have not been to a class, but we watched our parents and we watched our friends and how they sold themselves to the wife, to the spouse. We got it. Let them go. Let them sell it. All we want to do, you see, there's too many people out there wanting to turn the advisors into predators. Let's go get the second floor, sales floor. And all it's doing is just pushing people out the door. You wouldn't put up with it. I wouldn't put up with it. If I felt I'm being put together, I'm out of here. But now if I feel like I'm dealing with a friend, whole different program.
Absolutely.
So that's what I would say. I would say let's stop selling the business and sell the relationship. Now, some people will tell me real quick, you know, oh, that's too soft. I want to be more aggressive. How can you be more aggressive? Go get it. Get it done. Sell yourself. Get more people to like you. It's something that we've done since we were in school, right? I think it's an easy thing to do.
Fantastic. So Vera, you know, just a couple questions on the pods. So first question that came in from the audience is, you have 2 pods in your department, correct? So, you know, with that concept, and you talked about parts runners, explain how you came up with...
We don't have parts runners.
No, you thought about it, but you talked about pods. How'd you get started? What parts are in there? How did you implement the process?
I was at can I tell the truth?
Sure.
No lie.
I was at a Southeast Toyota meeting, and again, very blessed to be involved with them, because a lot of classes, a lot of schools, a lot of education. And it was about how can we get the parts to the technicians faster to increase productivity. And when the class was over, myself and some other people from the class and my Southeast Toyota rep went out to the tiki bar. And I got a little cocktail napkin, and I drew this pod and wanted this idea, because I've been to so many and we talk and talk and talk and talk about it, so I jumped in the water and did it. But not without putting together a lot of policies, procedures, thinking it through, punching holes. Every situation is different.
Yeah.
But you got to think it all the way through before you just do it.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to it.
So Lee, many countries have moved to salaried technicians. You know, can this work in the U.S.? Why or why not?
See, I thought how I was going to respond to this, and I'm probably going to tick some people off, but I'm going to tell you, I don't think there's anything wrong with flat rate. Okay? Now, I'm going to temper that. Flat rate's not a fix-all, and it's not for everybody, okay? I think you got to have ways of paying your technicians. Now, what was being spoke of earlier about the technician and the career path, 110% agree. You got to show them the vision of what the future looks like. If you don't have a vision for your department and for these people to grow, there ain't a technician out there that wants to be relegated to the lube rack for the rest of their lives. They don't want to do it, and they're going to book, and you would book too. I'd book. I'm out of here. I ain't doing that. But you got to give them a career path. Now, the challenge that we have is that the changing them from an hourly pay plan to a flat rate pay plan, where people, I think, stub their toe, is because they take them off of that and automatically onto that. You can't do that. If you were here earlier for Bill's presentation is probably one of the most logical steps in how to bring somebody over to flat rate, okay? Now, you got to do it in ways. There's no set pay plan. So you got to think about the individuals. What does that individual need? The guy, you've got technicians in your store that's up in their years that are doing 20, 30 hours a week. And someone said it earlier, they got tremendous knowledge about the business. They're not, don't put them on flat rate, take them off. All right, give them something. You could put them on Bill's pay plan. You could come up with another way. You could have them be mentored, be the mentor to that group of young technicians that you're bringing in. And I've seen a lot of stores that take that journeyman technician and give them 7 or 8 mentors. From a cost standpoint, and that's really the issue with most of everybody, is you put a pencil to it, it works. And I'll show you how to do it. But I've done it too many times. I know it will work. So it's not the flat rate system, it's the management of the flat rate systems that's a challenge, not the system. I don't think. That's my opinion. That's how I see it.
Fantastic. We're nearly out of time, but I just have one more question for the two of you. What do you see in your business as being the next kind of disruptors to your retention business and maximizing profits in service? Is it things such as mobile mechanic? Is it the fact that everything is transparent now? What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night is people not caring about the customers. And it's like he said, we got to build this relationship. If we would focus on those kind of things, we wouldn't even have to worry about that. If you get to know your customer and you're a service advisor and they got a dog named Sally and then you form that kind of relationship and you say, how you doing today, Miss Jones? How's Sally doing? Da-da-da. That's the person, like he said, that's going to say, here's my keys. Can you get me a shuttle ride home? Just fix it. So if we do what we're supposed to be doing, we're not going to have these challenges of defection.
I think the number one issue that keeps me up at night thinking about how to develop ways of challenging it is retention. I mean, your managers and the managers in the room, you know what it takes. This ain't rocket science. You know exactly what it takes. It's the discipline of doing it that's most important, all right? And it's the lack of doing. How do you get somebody to go back to the store and make the changes? And that's where the executive managers and the dealers, you got to raise your expectation. If you send them off to training, sit them down before you send them. I want you to come back and tell me what you're going to be changing as a result of this training. Because if you send them to training and they don't change anything as a result of it, you've wasted your money. So I would set them down and I would say to them, I expect an action plan. Now, here's what happens. They come to the training session, they spend 2 days, we have a great time, they come back to the store, and boom, they get hit. And they're sitting there and they're running around all over because it's a high operating. It's dependent on that manager, okay? So my thoughts are, you gotta rifle to the target. Pick out 3 things. When they come back to you, sit them down and ask them what you're gonna change as a result. Now we're going to start seeing some changes. But, a lot of people are looking at their business saying, oh, I got 5%, I got 6%. It's not good enough. That's not good enough. When you're looking at retention numbers with some of the manufacturers in the 30s, which means 70% of the customers are leaving after the initial warranty, are you kidding me? We created this business. And we're just pushing them out the door. It doesn't make sense to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for Vera and Lee? Thank you very much.
Thank you.